What's happening, y'all? trueeevil here, and today I am bringing you the ultimate guide for Rahu. He is my favorite character in Etheria Restart, and he's arguably one of the best characters in PvP, and some people may say he's not good in PvE, but he absolutely destroys, especially in Embertrek and Anti-Sync Echoes. So without further ado, let's just talk about why his kit is so busted. The reason why Rahu is so broken in Etheria Restart is because of his unique passive, which just is amazing. It's Wrath, and what it does is with each stack he has, he increases his defense by a good percentage. And not only does Wrath make him extra tanky, but it allows him to offer follow-up attacks when his allies attack. And once he gets to 4 stacks, he can transfer debuffs from his allies to the target that they attack, which is really big in PvP, as well as in some pesky Anti-Sync Echoes and Embertrek fights. Not only that, but once he gets to 6 stacks, he can transfer 2 debuffs, which is no joke, because his skill 1 is really brutal, and that offers a defense down as well. Not only can he do defense down, but his Skill 3 is an AoE cleave that gives everyone on your team defense up. Not only does this help make your team more tanky and survive, but it also gives Rahu significantly more damage since he scales off defense. Put all this together and you get one crazy buff machine that can actually just wreck everything in this video game. Now let's talk about the prowess investments on Rahu, because it is not cut and dry. It's pretty intricate because it's not a character that you just want to put everything into skill 3 and then everything into skill 2 and then maybe put some in skill 1. You want to pretty much max lattice Rahu, but you want to do it with a little bit in each one at a time and then really know what you want. So the first thing you're going to want to do is skill 1, put 1 point in this because most of his damage is from his skill 1. So of course we want it to do more damage. Then we go to skill 2 and we upgrade this by 1 just because of that nice 40% is much more noticeable than 30%. You also get a damage boost because of the defense, which is really nice. Then we upgrade his cleave by 1 for the additional damage, and then we actually go back to the skill 2 and then level this to 3. Now at this point we actually stop leveling skill 2 until we've leveled up 1 and 3 by a pretty good bit, because you really want to upgrade this to level 4 because that's where most of the damage is. Now after we do this, we want to not upgrade the skill 5, even though this is very nice. We want to go back to the skill 3 and we want to upgrade this so he gets more wrath stacks. The most important part of the skill 1 is just the damage in my opinion, and then we get this. Then at this point you can sort of choose which one you want to level. You can either max out his skill 1 or get the additional damage from the cleave. Personally, I am going to get this and then max out the skill 1. Now, the level 5 here is sort of like a cherry on top. I wouldn't use this one until you've pretty much latticed everything else you want, but the level 4 is really important. So I'm going to leave this at 4, skill 1 at 5, and then at this point I'm going to level the skill 2 up to level 4. And then this one is also, I would say it's really nice, but it's also a cherry on top, but it is a slightly more important than the skill 3 one. So I would probably end up going skill 1, skill 2 at 5, and then skill 3 at 4 until I've upgraded all my other units that I want to upgrade. So that's how I would go with this prowess investment. It is a little confusing, but it is really important to just have him be a little bit stronger on each thing because he's a build-up character and you want him to be able to build up, but you don't want him to build up too much without his damage. For his modules on the right side, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want crit rate, because he is a damage dealer even though he is tanky as well. and then you're going to want 1 in crit damage. Now, the other one is optional. You can either have another crit damage if you want to scale on attack, but since he is a tank and he wants to just be impenetrable, I actually go with 1 defense percent piece, just because he's going to be doing a lot of damage on his own, and I would rather have that survivability because he gets survivability and damage, so I like the 2-for-1 combo. So that's how I would go with his modules. And for the substats, he wants a little bit of effect accuracy, of course, and then he wants speed, defense, crit rate, and crit damage. But I wouldn't sacrifice defense for effect accuracy. So pick the piece that you would like, and sometimes we don't get perfect substats, and I think that's perfectly okay. Now, for Rahu's shell and matrix progression, the first shell he can use pretty well is the Unbridled Science one. Now, this is only if you decide to use him in the very early game, and that's because this is the only shell that can really have Unbreakable in the purples. And, it's going to be nice having him at the beginning because he's not going to be fighting with anyone for other matrices. For example, if you farm Doki Doki, he's pretty much going to be your only unit that has Unbreakable, which is nice since you're going to want a lot of Swift Rush pieces, and then he doesn't need anything from the Terramaton. So it's just nice to be able to have a character that can use all these pieces that some people may not need to have. Then, for his epic shells, he is going to want Black Flag. And for the Black Flag, you're going to want Unbreakable and Swift Rush. For this top part of the game, you're most likely not going to be able to do 12 and 8 at this point, so you're going to want to have 12 Unbreakable and 4 Swift Rush, just so he can lay down some more smoke with his attacks. And it's quite literally the smoke boys because he is attacking with actual smoke. Then I wouldn't get Diamond Heart because I do think the speed increase is just a little bit better, as well as you will be able to use a Black Flag later on in the game versus the Diamond Heart, which the replacement for is pretty quick. Then once you get to Nico Nana, his final shell is going to be Artisan, which is huge. Artisan is amazing on Rahu because the shield that it generates is absolutely insane. Sometimes it generates, and I can't see the HP bar on the ally that he gave the shield to because the entire HP bar turned blue. And because of this, this is absolutely nuts. And for matrices, I say go 12 Unbreakable just for that extra defense and damage, and 8 Bramble. Now, Bramble is absolutely busted on Rahu right now because he got a buff from the final test where his skill 1 just does an obscene amount of damage. So not only is he offering up the follow-up attacks, but he's also going to be countering. So this is how I would build him, and then for the final matrix, I would stay at this shell, but I would get Coloss Guard because the defense that you get from that also increases his attack. And the effect resistance is going to be very nice since you're not going to be running Bulwark on him. For characters that really work well with Rahu, in PvP especially, is Viper, because of Viper's passive, which your allies just take significantly less damage from critical attacks. And since Rahu is a tank, it just makes him even more scary. Not only that, but Viper offers up a ton of counterattacks, which allows Rahu to follow up on those counterattacks. So not only are you giving out the silences, the attack downs, and the speed downs from Viper, but you're also going to be giving out significant amounts of defense down with Rahu. So the pair of those two together is absolutely insane. Not only that, but his other teammate that I highly recommend to pair with for PvP is Hellkid, just because of how busted Hellkid's shield is. Them together with Rahu giving the defense up and Hellkid giving the shield and attack down, they kind of go together to absolutely destroy anything once they start getting the ball rolling. and I do think it's pretty easy to get the ball rolling because Hellkid is going to have Bulwark, and you're going to most likely have another unit that is going to be able to cleanse Rahu just in case if he gets CC'd somehow, but even then, Rahu is so tanky, you generally don't have to worry about him getting knocked out. So, yeah, that's really about it with Rahu, I would say. He also pairs really well with Lian for PvE. I really love Lian plus Rahu. It's really great in pretty much everything. And that is a very nice tanky survivability way to clear content if you're sick of doing Lian plus Gray. So that's about it. I'll see you guys next time with another character guide.